Okay, I hereby call this City of Boardman City Council meeting to order. If we would stand and do the flag salute. Lindsay. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilor Pearson.
Here.
Councilor Drago. Prophet.
Here.
Councilor Williams.
Present.
And Mayor Kiefer.
Here. I'd like to welcome everybody to the meeting today. I appreciate everybody here listening and individuals who are also looking to be appointed to the city council. So with that, we'll go to approval of minutes, August 2nd, 2022, city council regular meeting.
So move to accept the minutes as presented.
Seconded.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Having hearing none, roll call, please.
All right, Councilor Pearson.
Yes.
Councilor Drago.
Yes.
Councilor Prophet.
Yes.
Councilor Williams.
Yes.
And Mayor Kiefer.
Yes. So before we go on, we're gonna change or update the process or change our agenda. So after other business, we're gonna bump up the city manager report. Then we're gonna bump up the police report if there's any questions, and then we'll go straight to the committee reports after that. And then everything that will follow after that. So that's the only change that we're gonna have in our agenda. So we'll go right to our formal proceedings, which is the public hearing declaring surplus property. Public hearing on surplus property. The general location of the surplus property is along Northeast Front Street and is defined as Lot 1, Block 1, Lots 4 and 5 of Block 2, Lots 1 through 5 of Block 3, and Lot 1 of Block 4, all within the Knutson Commercial Park in the city of Boardman, County of Morrow, State of Oregon. Also included is the BMCC replat, previously lots 1 through 3 of Block 2 of the Knutson Commercial Park in the city of Boardman, County of Morrow, State of Oregon. They can also be identified as tax lots 44,400, 4,600, 4,900, and 5,000 of Assessor's Map 4 North, 25 East, 09 DB, and tax lots 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, and 700 of Assessor's Map 4 North, 25 East, 09 DA is called to order. Surplus property, the general location of the surplus property is along Northeast Front and is defined as Lot 1, Block 1, Lots 4 and 5 of Block 2, Lots 1 through 5 of Block 3, and Lot 1 of Block 4, all within the Knutson Commercial Park in the city of Boardman, County of Morrow, State of Oregon. Also included is the BMCC replat, previously lots 1 through 3 of Block 2 of the Knutson Commercial Park in the city of Boardman, County of Morrow, State of Oregon. They can also be identified as tax lots 4,400, 4,600, 4,900, and 5,000 of Assessor's Map 4 North, 25 East, 09 DB, and tax lots 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, and 700 of Assessor's Map 4N, 25 East, and 09 DA. The zoning of the surplus property is zone commercial, tourist commercial, and is designed to accommodate development of commercial facilities catering to the traveling public at the I-84 interchange. The city council has determined that it is reasonable to sell this property to increase local business opportunities. Conduct of the hearing. The public hearing this evening will be conducted as follows. Public testimony in the following order. Any testimony in support of the application, any testimony opposing the application, and any neutral testimony. Then we will close the public testimony. After the record is closed for testimony, no other testimony will be heard from anyone unless the city council has a specific question. The city council may ask questions of staff, after which the city council will discuss the matter and make a decision. The city council may make a final decision tonight, or the matter may be continued to a time and date certain in the future. If the matter is continued, this will be the only notice of that time and date you will receive. Testimony. If you wish to speak, please fill out a testimony form and submit it to the city recorder. I will recognize those people wishing to speak. Any questions should be addressed through me. Please state both your name and address for the record when you come to the podium, as the hearing is being recorded. Please keep testimony concise and to the point. Testimony should be on the action under consideration and addressing the substantive criteria. The criteria that apply to the decision are listed ORS 221.725, sale of city real property. 1, except as provided in ORS 221.727, alternative procedure for sale of city real property. When a city council considers it necessary or convenient to sell real property or any interest therein, the city council shall publish a notice of the proposed sale in a newspaper of general circulation and shall hold a public hearing concerning the sale prior to the sale. The notice required by subsection 1 of this section shall be published at least once during the week prior to the public hearing required under this section. The notice shall state the time and place of the public hearing, a description of the property or interest to be sold, the proposed uses for the property, and the reasons why the city council considers it necessary or convenient to sell the property. Proof of publication of the notice may be made as provided by ORS 193.070, proof of a publication. 3, not earlier than 5 days after publication of the notice, the public hearing concerning the sale shall be held at the time and place stated in the notice. Nothing in this section prevents a city council from holding the hearing at any regular or special meeting of the city council as part of its regular agenda. The nature of the proposed sale and the general terms thereof, including an appraisal or other evidence of the market value of the property, shall be fully disclosed by the city council at the public hearing. Any resident of the city shall be given an opportunity to present written or oral testimony at the hearing. 5, as used in this section and ORS 221.727, alternative procedure for sale of city real property, sale includes a lease option agreement under which the lessee has the right to buy the leased real property in accordance with the terms specified in the agreement. 1983 C.216. Testimony on other issues will be rejected and not considered by the city council. Disclosure. Now I ask the members of the city council to disclose any ex parte contacts, bias, or conflicts of interest. Please indicate the nature and extent of the ex parte contact, bias, or conflict of interest, and indicate whether you plan to participate in or abstain from the hearing.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to recuse myself from this hearing, please.
And the reason,
Potential conflict,
as far as conflict, as far as what?
future financial gain regarding the sale of the property related to surrounding areas.
Thank you. Your abstention is approved. Do I have any other abstentions?
Mr. Mayor, I'm not sure, but I recently came into a new job where I am looking for a location to start their establishment, and I might need to recuse myself, as noting this is something that could help me financially later as well. Just asking, just mentioning.
So this sale of property could possibly impact your,
Ability to be advantageous with my job.
I'm just thinking.
If the city would like to give any advice, I'm happy to give my description of job more thoroughly to. I've never had to be in a position where I might be actually needing to recuse myself.
Are you going to be selling or buying any of the property?
No, sir. It would just be, if the property became available, I would be interested in looking at having a store there.
Do you have a new job already? Are you
Yes,
employed?
yes, ma'am. I am already, yes,
Just as long as you have a job.
it is, I'm employed with Ordinance Brewing. I'm starting with them on the 12th. My job is to help them open tap house here.
That's a potential conflict.
That's what I was thinking. I was gonna ask the other counselors that what your thoughts were. I was thinking the same thing.
I would agree.
My question or comment would be number of counselors able to act because of quorum issues. And so,
Well, 3 out of 5. Oh, 3 out of 7.
I was gonna ask, will you have any financial gain, whether the property that your employer chooses is there or in another place? Does that matter? So you don't stand to make any money off of the sale of the property?
Correct. I just have an opportunity to look at that property to personally.
So it would help your employer
Yes,
open his tap house,
yes,
but it doesn't help you except to keep you employed.
yes.
Again, if he discloses a potential conflict, he can still participate. And if at some point in the future it becomes an actual conflict, then he'll not.
Because we're discussing the sale of real property.
He's not going to purchase the property, nor is he able to sell the property because
He's a benefit from the sale of property. Well, there's a lot of people that benefit from the sale of property.
he will be working for an employer who is purchasing the property. He himself.
That
is
does not own it yet.
And he is not selling or purchasing the property himself.
So the only, yeah, there isn't a conflict for him personally. In my,
I am happy to trust the guidance that I'm giving. I just felt the need to mention, when reading this and hearing Leslie, it sparked the position. Maybe I need to mention it. Thank you.
I have a question. Can we pause the hearing? And put it later in the. Can we suspend or pause our public hearing, or do we have to go through all of the,
Could, you mean so if you select
so,
some more counselors, so selection first and then have the public hearing? You have that opportunity. As a council, as a body, you would have to agree to amend the agenda
again,
to change this and then move the process out.
right, we'd have to. How do you feel about your conflict of interest?
I don't personally feel that it is a glaring issue. I felt it just out of honesty that I should mention. I don't feel like it will directly affect my employer, might not even consider the opportunity at that land. I just felt like I should mention. I do not think it personally sways the way that I would view this topic.
So, Mr. Mayor, the audience is having a hard time hearing, so if we can use the microphones, that's what they're for, so that they can You'll just have to, when you want to speak. push
So when
your
we're
button.
talking up here to each other, it's hard.
Yes,
So do we have to touch the red button?
yes, and then he has to touch the green button that's flashing to turn the mic on.
Oh, I just, it was, so. So what is the, do we want to do the selection first? So we get a full council and try to do, since we have potential, or do we feel that Isaac's concern is valid and we accept his concern?
I don't feel like he needs to have an extension. Circumstances.
And I'm with Junior, I agree. He doesn't have any financial gain from the sale or purchase of that land, so it's the benefit him.
He doesn't abstain.
I am comfortable proceeding as well.
All right, thank you. So we'll proceed here. We will continue. So the next question is, does anyone in the audience wish to challenge the city council's impartiality after that discussion we had?
I'd just like to remind you that it's association with any business as well, not just personal gain of any business.
Correct. Having hearing none, we will continue. Correspondence. Is there additional correspondence beyond those items included in the staff report? Public testimony. Does anyone wish to speak in favor of the application? Does anyone wish to speak against the application? Does anyone have neutral testimony? Moving on, the public testimony portion of this hearing is now closed. Does staff need to respond? No, we don't need to. Does the city council have any questions for the staff? Okay,
So I know that it appears that lot number 200 is the location of the splash pad. And that lots 300 and 400 are the location of the soccer field. Location 500 is the parking lot. And somewhere in there is a dog park, city parks, I'm assuming. And I was wondering why those would be considered up for sale at this time.
It doesn't say it's for sale,
Well, surplus.
so it's surplus. And always we have put in, whenever we put the soccer field there, it was always with the understanding if somebody came and wanted to put something that generated taxes to us, we could move the soccer field. So we thought at this time, it was easier to list all of the city property, because maybe maybe Target say would want to come and take that whole section out there. Then that would be the city's council's choice to either sell the property or to keep it a park. And that's why we listed them all at one time, rather than have to do this and when we look back in some of the old history, they made up this same proposal years ago and then didn't bring it forward for some reason, and I don't know why. But it just seemed like that it was easier to do them all at once.
Well, I guess the soccer field might be easy to move, but the splash pad probably isn't.
We can build We can build that somewhere else if somebody would want to bring a taxing entity in there, and it became a profitable thing for the city. We just ended up with those lots because of an LID years ago that the people didn't pay on what they had said they would pay for an LID, and then it defaulted back to the city. So
I feel very ignorant. What is an LID?
It's a local improvement district. So it's a, do you want me to explain?
yes,
it?
go ahead.
It's a structure by which a developer can place the cost of development on the future purchasers of the property. But when you do that, it's like the city holding the loan. So it's like the developer takes out a loan, the city is grants the loan. So in essence, the city functions as a bank in that respect, or money passes through the city to pay for those improvements. So the improvements were done, and then the development never was successful. I mean, nothing's built along there, so I can only assume that the development didn't move anywhere or come to fruition. And so there was nobody to pay that local improvement district loan back to the city. And the city, as can any lender, they can foreclose on that and take that property back. And so that's what happened. And I don't know the specifics of what happened. That's just generally how an LID functions.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah,
Do you have any other questions?
those were my main ones. We just built the dog park there. So here is why.
So basically, we're including all our property right now as a public forum to be able to say that a sale at any, so we basically don't have to go through that process again. So we're basically including it all as public.
The city's property on Front Street,
Yes,
not all.
correct. So that specific that we talked about.
Well, it's the properties. It's beyond the properties that we talked about in the past.
Right, it starts from just west of Second to almost.
So technically on Front Street, we just listed for surplus all of our properties on Front Street. Does that answer your question?
And at the end of the day, the city council decides whether or not. That's correct.
Yeah, I would think that's kind of what we're doing today. We're choosing. Are there any other questions?
Yes, I'm sorry, I thought you were.
Oh, no.
I apologize.
I thought I might have been going there. and-
Glasses and the reflection. That's it.
So we get just wait to hear. All right, so we're all done with that, with the public hearing. So do we have a motion?
The motion is later.
It's in the-
Yeah.
Oh, the motion, I thought the meeting at I keep doing that. The public hearing is closed. We do the motion later on in I do that every time. Thank you. Financial report.
Okay, you have your financial report ending July 31st, 2022. So that's the first month of our fiscal year. And there's nothing big to report, just some of the property taxes dwindling in from the last tax season, and those will dwindle down. The big excitement on the financial report is that our interest rates, as you can see, some of them have actually hit 1%. We've got a couple at 0.9 of 1%. And they have been creeping up slowly these past months, about 0.15 to 0.25% each month. And the trend is to continue increasing.
Does anyone have any questions regarding the financial report? Having hearing none, we'll move right on to public comment. Any interested audience members are invited to provide comments. Anyone may speak on any topic other than a matter in litigation a quasi judicial land use matter, or a matter scheduled for public hearing at some future date. I may limit comments to 3 minutes per person for a total of 30 minutes. And I have one public comment card, Kathy Street.
Let me turn this on. Is it already on? Okay. My name is Kathy Street. I'm a resident of Fordman at 655 Southwest Mount Hood Avenue. And I wanted to make a public comment regarding the hiring of a new city manager that's going to be happening this year. Myself and a library board member attended the meet and greet for the search that was done earlier last year, or maybe it was this year, to meet the 2 candidates that were selected, and it appeared to be a nationwide search because they weren't from Oregon. And also, so the expense of that, doing a search, hiring a search team, contractor, bringing them to Boardman, the interview process, and then it was silence until much later, not like the next week or anything, much later. Oh, by the way, we've hired Police Chief Stokoe, and he has done this when the current city manager was out. That did not have any transparency. It didn't follow proper best model for business, and I was very disappointed in that decision. Not saying in my public comment. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move down to action items. Ordinance 1-2022, non-exclusive franchise to Pendleton Overground LLC, DBA PDT Fast.net. Second reading by title only. Would you like to read that for us?
Ordinance 1-2022, an ordinance granting a non-exclusive franchise to Pendleton Overground LLC, DBA PD Fast.net, herewithin referred to as the grantee, its successor, and assigns the rights of privilege to provide non-cable telecommunication services within the city and to utilize the public rights of way.
So we need to have a motion on this. Isaac.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Did we need to make a motion to have it reread and then seconded? Because I would move to have ordinance 1-2022 read in by title only. It was just, I believe, if I heard wrong, it was stated as we will be reading it in, and I believe a motion has to be made to be read in.
That's, so I guess,
2 motions.
huh?
2 motions. You made one to read it by title only and then vote to read.
Right,
it.
I thought that's what we were, I guess I misunderstood. I thought, so we had a motion, so we had a title read, now we need a motion with the title.
No, it's backwards. We
We
should have had a
should
motion
have
first.
motion first before she read it.
Is my button working?
Yes,
Okay.
it's working.
We're on track now.
But just to get clarity, I do move to have ordinance 1-2022 read in by, read into the record by title only.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Hi.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Okay,
Thank you, sir.
thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right, Ms. Pettigrew.
Do you want me to read it again?
Yes, please.
All right, we'll do that. Ordinance 1-2022, an ordinance granting a non-exclusive franchise to Pendleton Overground LLC, doing business as pdfast.net, herewithin referred to as grantee, its successors, and assignees. The rights of privilege to provide non-cable telecommunication services within the city and to utilize the public rights of way.
So we need to have another motion to approve this. And entertaining a motion to approve this ordinance.
I move to adopt ordinance 1-2022, an ordinance granting a non-exclusive franchise to Pendleton Overground LLC DBA PDT Fast.net, hereinafter referred to as grantee, its successors, and assigns the right of privilege to provide non-cable telecommunication services within the city to utilize the public rights of way to be signed by the mayor.
And I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Is there any discussion we'd like to have over this? Okay, roll call, please.
Counselor Pearson,
Yes.
Counselor Draco,
Yes.
Counselor Prophet,
Yes.
Counselor Williams,
Yes.
and Mayor Kiefer.
Yes, I appreciate the council for helping me do it right. I do, I really appreciate that. Absolutely. That's how we become better. Ordinance 2-2022, an ordinance approving an update to section 7 of the Port of Morrow Interchange Area Management Plan, IAMP.
So I would like to move to have ordinance 2-2022 read fully and distinctly into the record.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
I've asked Carla to read this because she's putting it forward.
thank you.
Thank you.
City of Boardman, ordinance number 2-2022, an ordinance approving an update to section 7 of the Port of Morrow Interchange Area Management Plan. Whereas the city of Boardman has land use authority granted by Oregon Revised Statute, chapter 277, city planning and zoning, and whereas the city of Boardman has an acknowledged comprehensive plan, transportation system plan, and development code. And whereas the city of Boardman, Morrow County, the Port of Morrow, and the Oregon Department of Transportation entered into an intergovernmental agreement in September 2019 to address concerns at the Port of Morrow interchange and adopt changes to the Port of Morrow Interchange Area Management Plan if it was deemed appropriate. And whereas the Port of Morrow made application to the city of Boardman and Morrow County to adopt changes to section 7 of the Port of Morrow Interchange Area Management Plan. And whereas a notice of proposed amendment was submitted electronically to the Oregon Department of Land Conservation and Development on May 11th, 2022. And whereas notice for the public hearing before the Planning Commission was published on May 26th, 2022, and the notice for the public hearing before the City Council was published on June 21st, 2022, both in the East Oregonian, with notice to adjoining and affected property owners being mailed on those same days. And whereas the Planning Commission held a public hearing on June 15th, 2022, and recommended the City Council adopt the proposed changes. And whereas the Morrow County Planning Commission and Board of Commissioners have also held public hearings towards adoption of the proposed changes. And whereas the Boardman City Council held a public hearing on July 12th, 2022, and at the hearing received the recommendation of the Boardman Planning Commission and heard testimony from the public. Whereas the Boardman City Council did approve the changes to section 7 of the Port of Morrow Interchange Area Management Plan and directed staff to prepare the adoption documents. Now therefore, the people of Boardman do ordain as follows. Section 1, effective document. The City Council of the City of Boardman adopts the amended section 7 of the Port of Morrow Interchange Area Management Plan and directs staff to amend the Port of Morrow Interchange Area Management Plan once final adoption occurs by the Oregon Transportation Commission. The City Council also adopts as part of the record the Planning Commission findings and attachments to be retained in the Planning Office. Section 2, readings. The first reading of this ordinance shall be on September 6, 2022, with the second reading and adoption to occur on October 4th, 2022. Section 3, effective date. This ordinance shall take effect immediately upon its final reading and passage. The Port of Morrow Interchange Area Management Plan will be effective upon its adoption by the Oregon Transportation Commission. Section 4, attached document. Attached to this ordinance is the proposed section 7 of the Port of Morrow Interchange Area Management Plan, passed by the council and approved by the mayor this 4th day of October 2022.
Thank you. And that's our full first reading. All right, so that takes care of our ordinances. We'll move on to resolutions 18-2022, declaring surplus property. I tried to do this earlier, now is the place where we do it. I'm looking for a motion to approve or not to approve. Counselor,
I move to adopt resolution 18-022, a resolution declaring the city of Boardman real property listed in Exhibit A and shown in Exhibit B as surplus.
I'll second.
they have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion we'd like to have at this time? Roll call, please.
Okay, Counselor Pearson.
Staying.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's right.
Thank you for reminding me. Counselor Draper.
Yes.
Counselor Prophet.
Yes.
Counselor Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Keeper.
Yes. Motion carries. At this time, we'll go down to appointment of counselors to vacant positions.
I believe you updated the city manager hiring committee to follow the resolutions of the business.
No, it was after the counselors. appointed the counselor. Yes. If I misspoke, I apologize. It was after the counselors. I misspoke.
I understood as what you said. That was we were doing a presentation after.
Yes, that was my one. If I misspoke. Counselor,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this point, I just, based on the agenda before us, I would like to request that we extend the meeting past our normal 9 o'clock time so that we can allow ample time for everyone to make their presentations and present the material as provided on the agenda.
I'll second it.
okay, so we have to talk about or to extend our meeting past, I think 9:30 is probably an appropriate time. Not past 9 o'clock.
Well, that's not the
To
motion.
9:30, huh?
The motion is to
Go beyond that.
Go beyond the-
Go on beyond 9 o'clock. Yeah, I think that when I was kind of, we have a motion in a second, and I would think a discussion would be 9:30 would probably be appropriate time.
Certainly by 10, we've done it plenty of times before without. any
And
crisis.
we've done it times, oh, excuse me.
That would be my suggestion to be finished before 10.
I appreciate the suggestion. It's also school night. We've also done it both ways.
Of course.
We've done it both ways. We've done it early and we've done it late. I think going past the 9 o'clock time is appropriate. I'm not in favor of 10 o'clock, but I'm fully, how about we take a look at 9:30 and talk about it again at 9:30. Is that agreeable?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll go to appoint city councilors to vacant positions. So we have 6 questions, we have 6 candidates. And each candidate will get a question, and each candidate will answer that. We're gonna start with Heather Baumgartner and then move to her left. Each candidate will answer the same question. You will have 2 minutes to respond. And I will start. I'll read the first question. The next question will be read by Council President Prophet, and Christina Cuevas will start with that one, and we'll move same going all the way through, and then we'll continue that way. So, starting with Heather, we are interviewing 6 impressive individuals for 2 vacancies. Please articulate to us why you should be appointed as a new Boardman City Councilor.
I have previous experience as a city reporter, as well as a city elections officer. I've lived in Boardman since 1981, and I graduated from high school in 1990. I serve on the board for the Chamber of Commerce as secretary. I watched all 5 essential elections videos on the League of Oregon Cities. I'm familiar with parliamentary procedure. I own my own copy of, just lost my train of thought. The parliamentary procedure book. I just forgot what it was called. Robert's Rules. Thank you. I knew it was going to come to me eventually. I've got a pretty basic understanding of the way city council works and city staff and the separations between the two as to whose job is whose, just based on my past experience. And I've read through all of the city councilor rules and I understand those rules. Anything else to say? I think that's all good.
Thank you. Christina.
Yes, thank you. So I was born and raised here in Boardman. I, with the exception of when I went away to college, and I did have multiple opportunities to start somewhere after college, but I just have that pull to come back to my hometown. Since I was little, I have always enjoyed volunteering and trying to make our town better. And I see this as an opportunity to be able to make an impact at the citywide level. I have participated in different committees, most recently the financial committee for the school board. I volunteer as a coach. My voice doesn't carry. Unfortunately, I don't have a teacher voice. I'm a counselor. So, but yes, I want an opportunity to just be able to give a different perspective than maybe what we have had in the past on the council. One of the things that I do like to do is look at things from all different angles, and I like to ask a lot of questions because I want to make sure that we're making the best decision possible.
Thank you.
You might not need it.
Dustin, would you like to repeat the question?
No, I understand.
Okay.
All right, my name is Dustin Harper. I've lived here since 1987. I've always been a part of the community and like to volunteer when I was younger. I've moved away and came back several times, been here for 13 years this last time. Plan to stay for quite a while. At work, I am part of a security council where we weigh the pros and cons of the different issues that are going on in our company and kind of weigh the risks and everything. So I'm kind of familiar with a lot of smaller process and everything. I just want to be a good part of the community and help out and provide a lot of benefits.
My name is Richard Rockwell. I've been a resident of Boardman since 1982. Graduated here, lived here every year except for the time that I went to college. My kids have all been born and raised here. My grandkids are all going to school here now. I've been actively involved in sports here for 28 years now. And I've been involved at the state level in that sport as well. Been involved with the media within our sport for over 20 years. Let's see, I've also won Volunteer of the Year as well. And so I volunteered a lot of my time and efforts into that, as well as done a lot of volunteer work here at Boardman. I've been involved with a lot of committees as well within our sport. Like Coach Russell here, if you didn't know that. And so I've been involved with that for a very long time and been involved at the state and national level as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you repeat the question, please? I may, I will. We are interviewing 6 impressive individuals for 2 vacancies. Please articulate to us why you should be appointed as the new Boardman City Council.
So first off, my name is Ethan Salata. I know quite a few of you guys in here. But I personally have lived here for 4 years. Seen this community grow and continue to grow. My goal is to be on council to help the community grow, or to continue to grow. Currently, I volunteer, do some different volunteer work for this coach football for junior high. Currently, work down at the bar at River Lodge, work for the fire district. I'm out in the community. I try and be at a lot of events, trying to get to know people out in the community. So I just like to be part of the board that continues that growth. So that's why.
Thank you.
Jonathan Coleman. I'm a business owner here in Boardman and a Riverside High School class of '94 graduate. It is really nice to see two other class of '94 graduates in this vacancy appointment with me. I moved back here because I love Boardman. I'm so excited to be living in Boardman. I've always waited for this opportunity to come. Right now, before the city councils, 4 or 5 of you guys are under investigation for ethics violation. That is a glaring attribute that we don't need to see here in Boardman. We saw an article in the paper come out exposing that corruption. That corruption needs to be exposed because it trickles down to you guys. And it's being exposed where it is. And even if it even looks like a conflict of interest, it needs to be shown from here on out. Just like Kathy Street just said there, the transparency that was needed here is not even, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. We could have picked it a mile away and we've seen it time and time again. The procedures and protocols are overlooked and are not being followed. My goal is to show a very different opinion, and I want our taxpayers to save money on their property taxes. We've had 3 bonds that have come to our taxpayers. We should not, as citizens during this period of growth, have to pay for anything when it comes to bonds. And people need to see this city council makes a difference whether the new 5 new Amazon sites have to pay on those taxes. So my main goal is that there's no new taxes on the city residents or no new bonds, and that they're fully paid for the businesses at 100% of when it comes to the bond rate. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Mr. Susan. Okay, so you're gonna be next. It's Christina, right?
Yes.
And if you would like me to say your last name, I apologize, right? Is it okay if I call you by your first name?
Yes.
Okay, so Counselor Prophet will read the next question.
Have you ever previously served on a governing board? If so, please briefly describe your experience serving on it.
So the experience that I have serving on the board would just be the committee for the school district, for Monroe County School District. The main duties there were to get ahead of time and review all the information. And then when we would meet, we were able to ask questions. Sometimes we were able to catch mistakes and get clarification on things, and then be able to decide if we're going to approve that or not. And most of the time, we were able to work together, much like the mayor has shown. Sometimes we help each other out and are able to explain things or be able to say, hey, this is actually what we need to do, or this is the process. And so I appreciate that because there are times that I'm still learning or things change and we might forget how to do things if there's a new way of doing things. And so that's my experience, and that's part of what I could bring to this council.
Thank you.
No. So it's not a public meeting, it was more of a work meeting. It was a security council where we would weigh in various new policies and new vendors and everything. And we'd go through them and discuss it and ask questions. And we kind of had multiple people on there that had different levels of knowledge on different topics. So we all had come together, ask questions among ourselves and kind of learn everything. So we had all the information we needed to make a good decision on the topic. And so we'd weigh the various risks and all that, kind of come up with the decision to go forward or deny it.
All right, thank you.
Can the candidates please hold the microphone closer to their mouth, please?
You hear that okay?
In the back, can you hear that?
It needs.
How about I just talk louder? Is that okay?
No,
Or-
microphones are needed for people that have disabilities.
Okay, or we can.
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, no problem. So most of my experience at the governing level isn't like city council or state government. It revolves around the sport that I coach. And I was head of the 3A division for the Oregon Wrestling Classic, which most of you probably don't know, that's the largest tournament on the West Coast for high school wrestling. It has been for 35 years, and I was the 3A director for roughly 12 years. And so we had to organize the tournament, be at board, and so on and so forth. And so that was something that was super important that we had to do, as well as coach and all that stuff. And then in the off season, in the spring and summer, I was also the cadet director for USA Wrestling in Oregon. And so we had to organize the national tournament team every single year. And I did that, ordered uniforms, all that stuff. And so again, we had to sit on a board, make decisions, use budgets, all that stuff. And so that's where most of my governing, I guess, would say, is involved with. So,
Thank you.
So currently I do hold a position on the city of Boardman's planning commission. That's basically all my governing experience so far. I'm not gonna say it's a lot of experience. Not gonna say it's a lot of experience, but I'm willing to learn, and that's what I'm currently doing on planning commission. If I was appointed in this position, I would continue to learn, and that's not good for it. We should learn every day, so. Thank you.
I've served on many boards and committees in my lifetime, but the one that really comes to mind is the one that I just served on the First Baptist Church for finding a new pastor, Rick and Chara Weiss. I'm just so happy that they have moved to this area and seen the seeds and the fruits of what they've done. That to me is the goal of the committee, is to see the fruits and labors of what you do on the board. Rick and Char are very active in the community and made a difference in the food pantry as well, the day-to-day level here in Boardman. To me, it's discipleship. It should be not just what happens in that committee, but the fruits that come from that committee and those type of aspects for Boardman, a better Boardman.
Thank you.
I currently serve on the Chamber of Commerce Board as a secretary. I served a full term and then I was asked to come back and I was elected as secretary again. So I do understand, the financing, finance reports and the budgeting and planning when it comes to all the things that we do for the community. The 4th of July happened this year. We had a little faux pas, but that was beyond our control. But we all got together and we made it right with the community by having a end of summer back to school extravaganza, whatever you want to call it. But I was part of that planning committee. I was on the 4th of July committee as well as on the chamber committee.
Good evening, Misty. Are you ready? Yes.
The Boardman and City Council must render decisions regarding the implementation of policies and or programs that may be somewhat difficult. How would you handle a majority decision you disagreed with in your role as both a counselor and an individual with, an individual citizen within our community?
I feel that I would try to make a decision based on what would be best for the community that would have a lot more of the community support rather than stand on my own against everyone else in the community. With all the information that I had and everything, make a decision to kind of go against my own values, but maybe something better for the community itself. And probably, more approved by the community.
As well. Basing your decisions on your feelings and what's right, sometimes there's a gray area there, but in the end, you try to always do the right thing. The way I tell our program is that, if you want to make everybody happy, sell ice cream. Because nobody's upset with the ice cream guy. But that's not what this position is for. You're gonna make people upset, you're gonna make people happy. And sometimes you're the bad guy and sometimes you're the good guy, and you have to be willing to accept that. But in the end, you hope that it's always doing the right thing for the city and for the people that live within it.
Good question again.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The Boardman City Council must render decisions regarding the implementation of policies and or programs that may be somewhat difficult. How would you handle a majority decision you disagreed with in your role as both a counselor and as an individual citizen within our community?
So if I was to disagree with a majority rule, that's just kind of how it goes. On this committee, city council, I'm one voice. That's why there's 7 of us, not one person making this decision. In the public, I'm still gonna stand with my values and what's right for the city. I try and do what's right. That should be the way everybody rolls, is what's right. It's not always what happens. And like Richard said, some people are gonna be the bad guys and some people are gonna be the good guys. But try and do what's right, so.
I'm firsthand seeing this right before our eyes, going along to get along. First, I would stand up and do what is right. Secondly, I'd weigh the cost for the citizen of Boardman financially. Right now, it is being proposed to change building land use codes and protocols, okay? Those changes, good and bad, need to be shown, and they need to be debated over a long period of time of all the rabbit holes that go down this way and affect our land value or what we can do with it for the future, as well as the bad, as well as the good on those type of things. Those effects will change Boardman for the good and for the bad. This discussion and debate needs to be had, whether we like it or not, and I look forward to it.
So when making a decision, whether whether I agree with it or I don't agree with it, behind closed doors, we can have an open dialogue and we can understand each other and we can communicate, and get all the information that we need from the city so that we can make the best decisions. Even if I don't agree with that decision, we need to be a unified front in front of our community. And we always need to make a decision that is what is best for our community, not best for us as individuals. And I would definitely make the decisions that what is best for our community, regardless of how I felt about it.
So part of my training for being a counselor is being able to separate my personal beliefs from my job. And so that's actually something that I do very well. I might have a very personal belief or a viewpoint, but a lot of the times what's needed is just to be educated to really understand how is this going to benefit everybody and not just a select few from the community. And so again, that would be part of the open dialogue, is being able to ask some of those questions. And it might just be that I need to have a better understanding, so then I can be in full support of it. And in the same way, I might be able to point out some of those reasons why this might not be the best decision, and maybe convince other city council members why we don't look at it in a different way or make a change. But it just involves that open dialogue and being able to work together. And sometimes it has happened in my current job where I might not agree with something, and that's okay. But I just like to feel like I've been heard, and I'll make my case for why. And then leave it at that and be able to go on and be professional and continue to work together.
All right, so we'll go to the next question.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you all for being here. Question number 4. What do you hope to accomplish as a city council member, and what contributions do you hope to provide to the city of Boardman as a city councilor?
Well, I would certainly hope that, you know, if you serve a full term or whatever, what you've done at the end is better than when you started. You know, that's kind of how I take my business approach, and everything else I do is you want to be better than the day you were, better than you were the day before. And sometimes you're gonna have some setbacks, but again, you're always moving forward, and I think that's the goal of city council. There's gonna be times where you're peaking and you're just sitting there for a while, and then eventually you take another step forward and you just keep moving forward, trying to always do the right thing. And hopefully that when a term is up, or you know, people can say, okay, he did the right thing and he helped build Boardman. Because ultimately, I think that's what everybody here wants to do, is make sure that the best interest of the city is in their interest, so.
So currently, I can't specifically say I would like this done in the term on, and kind of, yeah, whatever is done in that term, like Richard said, I mean, it's gotta be better for the community and better than how it started. Yeah, I don't really have an answer for that one, sorry.
Yes, to me, less taxes, all right, but it really boils down to how much money we're paying in taxes as a citizen of Boardman during this big growth period. I mean, we're having this growth period, why is our taxes going up? We have to look at that question. More transparency, like that was just written in the Oregonian. We have to see these people that are wearing several different hats and then making influences that affect basically our taxes. And then we wonder why we're in a situation where we have people that are frustrated as far as how much they're paying and why they're paying. And you know, to me, some of the roads that are constantly being built up, and they should be done one time, and then that's it. It's especially like what you're seeing there on Main Street with the fiber optic cable. How many times have we seen them go back through and do more? I mean, I do see them going out to Love's, all right? And you know, as far as the power, I don't know how the power lines are gonna get out there, but those transparency of how those things are gonna be answered as far as what gets done and which way they're gonna do it, and just doing it on a very above board way that needs to be shown to the public.
What do you hope to accomplish as a city council member, and what contributions do you hope to provide to the city of Boardman as a city councilor?
So what I hope to, I just hope to gain knowledge, to be part of this community even more so than I am now. Like I said, I've lived in this town since I was 9. I grew up here, I've watched it grow. It has grown from 1,500 when I moved here to 5,000, well, it's 4,900 the last time I checked. Almost 5,000 people now. We're seeing new faces all the time. I want to be part of that growth, and I want to be that person that listens and learns and makes better decisions at the end of every day to be the best part of this team. We're not just individuals, we are a team, and we need to work together to do what is best for our community, and that is my goal.
So Boardman is a small town, but I also see it as progressive. And I think that there's lots of opportunities that have come through. There are some relief act funds, for example, that have been given to towns, and then it's up to councilors to then decide how best to apply those funds. Sometimes minor policies can make big impacts on how we move forward. And one of the areas that I would like to be considerate of as far as being able to get more of a voice to would be our Hispanic and Latino population that we have here, which, as you know, Ormond has a high percentage of Hispanics and Latinos. So that's another area that I would like to also make sure that that's included in part of the decisions that are made at the council level, city level. Thank you.
So a lot of great answers here. So I kind of like to be similar. I mean, kind of look back at the end of the term and be like, look what we accomplished. We've done better than we have previously. I mean, over the years, I've seen Morgan grow, have a lot of good decisions, some not so good, but overall, we've always progressed and done better every year. And so I'd like to be a part of that, and then at the end, just be like, I was a part of that, we did great.
Junior.
So we are at Ethan. Hello, Ethan. Question number 5, when you hear about something that concerns you in the city of Boardman, what steps would you take to see that this concern is resolved?
So if I see something that concerns me, I try to take it up with correct people. Sometimes that's bringing it to you guys, which I've never done personally. Sometimes that's just going and talking to the mayor, talking to somebody else, not actually in a formal seat. I would like, I think that answers the question there, I believe so.
To me, it's again, transparency, transparency and showing the corruption, showing the ties, showing the, what I call the chess pieces and how they move. And people need to understand that that is really ultimately how Boardman's getting done right now. And I would love to sit down and explain with it. I'm very active at being, at saying my piece, but when it affects my property taxes and it affects my business, that's where it really does affect it, because it's affecting other businesses. And most of the people are too scared to say anything. And that's what's really sad about the whole aspect of it, is when people are too scared to say how it affects their drinking water, say how it affects their, how they get to work, or if they're able to come to work, as far as the roads being shut down, and just a level playing field when it comes to those type of things.
My first step would be to contact the city manager and express my concerns, get some information, have an open dialogue, learn. Maybe she's already aware of the situation, maybe not. If she's not aware of the situation, we can work together to figure out a resolution for it, bring it before the council. As part of the city council, we could work together and try to resolve that issue as long as we're aware of it. Could you repeat the question?
Thanks. So when you hear about something that concerns you in the city of Boardman, what steps would you take to see that this concern is resolved?
I think one of the first things I would want to do is find out if there's any truth behind it. I think that sometimes there's a lot of rumors that go around, and I don't always believe things that are just put out on social media or even on like the newspaper. I'm not an investigator, however, I feel like we need to use some of those scientific investigative skills and go to individuals that have more knowledge and be able to ask some of those questions first. And I think that one of the first steps is being more educated, right? We need to be able to ask those questions. And I'm not afraid to go and find those answers. And if I'm not hearing the answers that I need, then I, will proceed with the next step, going to the next individual. And then, if there is some truth to it, then yes, bringing it up, finding the avenues that we need in order to get that concern addressed. And sometimes, we might in the process also find out that we need to remove some barriers for us to be able to bring things forward that are concerning.
All right, so if I have a concern, I'm having nerds, so I like information and all that kind of stuff. So if I come with a concern, I have all the facts and all everything I need to kind of present, everything I have on that concern and issue. So I can kind of pass that information on and pass on,
Hold up the microphone, please.
and pass on all that, facts and everything that I have. So I'm not just coming to you with some kind of, vague concerns. It's a in-depth concern, all the information I have that I can give you to have something to go on rather than just some small big thing. And then I like to follow through until it's fully resolved and then get ready for us to do afterwards.
I think the first step I would take is make sure that the concern is valid. And then from there, do my own research before I go and start talking to random people or whatever. I spend a good portion of my day reading as well as working. And so reading information, make sure that it's accurate, making sure that I understand what it is that I'm reading. And if I don't understand it, I go to the people that are gonna help me understand it and then address it in a professional way, whether it's talk to fellow city council members or the city manager, or whoever it is that we have a concern with. And just making sure that you're taking the steps necessary to do it all right, so that you're not just blathering whatever information that you come out with, and then all of a sudden you gotta pull it back because it was all wrong, or there was half truths or whatever. You wanna make sure that you are speaking in a way that, people will understand what you're saying. People trust your judgment. People are willing to listen and know that you're gonna be professional in that way.
All right. So I'll read the last question. Why are you applying for this vacancy on the city council?
I want to make Boardman a better Boardman. I mean, Richard said something that really hit me. Everything that every one of these appointees said, I have done. I've gone to every one individually of you and said, hey, let's work together. I can go through all the minutes and the notes. Let's work together. Let's work together. I've been ignored, okay? And the only way is to sit in that seat and no longer be ignored. And I want less taxes with transparency. I can't overstate how important it is on how it looks, because there is documentation out there to back up what is being said. And bottom line is, that's why our taxes are going up. And there's no end in sight. And we see this fight with the home health district, and that home health district is about money. Its bottom line is about money. And there's a $2 to $4 million that are missing out of the budget because of it. And we need to go to bat, and we need to go to bat for our citizens when it comes to negotiating better deals for the citizens of Oregon.
I applied for one of the open vacancies, as I understand there are two open vacancies, because I felt I could make a difference. I've been a member of this community for a long time, and I volunteered my time. I've talked with each and every person, almost in this room, because I grew up here and I care about this community, and I want to be part of that decision-making body, that policy-making body that makes this community better and helps us come together. I want to be that unified team to make this community better. That's why I applied. I want to make a difference.
So I didn't want to, being on the city council, I didn't wake up and say, yep, that's me. And I don't particularly like the spotlight in these situations. But I had different residents from Boardman that approached me and said, Christina, we really value some of the input that you give in different committees or just even outside of just in town. And, you know, you're someone that we sort of look up to and we respect. And, you know, I just was really encouraged to apply. I was also encouraged to apply elsewhere, and I said, no, thank you. If I was gonna do something, I said, you know, this is the place, the city council. And part of that reason is, I don't see the lack of teamwork, that sometimes occurs in other places. And so one of the reasons that I did want to apply, that I ended up deciding to apply is that I wanted to bring a different perspective to the group. I wanted to be able to look at what impact we can make at the city level, working together. And as I said, you know, Boardman is a small town, but it definitely is progressive, and we have a lot of big businesses that are here and coming in, and we definitely are moving along pretty quickly. And that changes the landscape of Boardman. It changes the community, and in some aspects, you want that to happen, and other things I know we want to conserve that small town feel. And so I think that there's a lot that goes into making these decisions, small or big, and so I just want to be a part of that. Thank you.
All right, for me, I want to be a part of the city council for several years. And I think in my life, I probably reached maturity level, professionalism, better in my communication and everything than I have in the past, so I feel that I'm ready for it. And I'd like to help make Boardman a better place. I've lived here, like I said, since 1987, and I've seen it grow, and I'd just like to be a big part of that.
Well, I've been here for a long time, and I've done a lot of what I would say is we work as far as developing Boardman. You know, I could go through a long list of things that I've done as a volunteer with other individuals, helping beautify Boardman. You know, the land that the city sits on. We went out here with individual rakes and we raked it all, 2 acres worth of land, just to make sure that grass was planted here. We did the same thing for the senior center. We did the same thing when cleanup needed to happen across the main street there. When graffiti was on Grange Hall, we were out there cleaning it. When they needed cleanup after the 4th of July, Cinco de Mayo, we were out there doing all the work. And I never thought, man, you know, this really sucks. Why am I always doing this? I thought, no, this is what we do as part of the community. And I'm thankful that my parents and my family, where they grew up, they do the same thing, and it's kind of instilled in our DNA that, you know, doing your part in your town, that's what you're supposed to do. And so that's how I've always looked at it. That's why I have stayed here and raised my family and continue to see my grandchildren being raised here as well, because sense of community is important. That's why I want to be on the city council.
So I've applied for city council to grow myself, to help the community grow. I've been here, like I said, 4 years now. Seen a lot of the community grow a lot, and I want to continue that. Like I said, I don't have the most experience, but I figured might as well take a shot. Can't get anywhere if you don't, so that's where we're at.
Thank you. That should conclude our interview questions. Each of you for the councilman or council persons, you have a ballot. And what I ask you to do is to choose your 2 individuals to be on the council. After you choose that, I ask that you fold it. And then you send it to me. And then I'll read it into the record. Please make sure that you put your name on it so I know who the counselor is that voted. Are there any questions about that procedure? After that, I read it into the record. City Reporter Jen will then tell us the top 2 who will be then sworn into the 2 vacancies by myself. So at this time, let's go ahead and choose 2 people.
I know it's not my turn to speak, but I really appreciate all of you turning out tonight to put forth your efforts in being on the city council. Because it's really important that people, whether they're chosen this time or not, come forward and be part of the community, because there's always another day to participate. And like you say, there's always cleanup time. So now there's always places for people that want to be a part of the community and see it grow. And look at how many people we drew out tonight. I mean, hardly anybody on Zoom, and actually people in the audience. This is the way it should look every month.
That's nice. If it would help buy you a few minutes, could we call a recess and I could go to the bathroom?
I make recess. Pause.
Do you know how to make this chair?
Okay, we'll continue the meeting, so we're back in session. We're gonna start reading the ballots. I'm gonna start with mine. It's only appropriate that I start with mine. Knowing all 6 of you, this was very, very difficult. Probably the most emotional thing that I had for me as being mayor, because I don't like to disappoint people, but there's gonna be 4 people who are disappointed, and that's what's the pits for me. So after listening to the questions and the answers, I vote for Richard Rockwell and Heather Baumgartner. Brenda Profit votes for Richard Rockwell and Christina Cuevas. Isaac votes for Christina Cuevas and Ethan Salata. Leslie Pearson votes for Heather Baumgartner and Christina Cuevas. Junior votes for Richard Rockwell and Heather Baumgartner. And that is all the ballots. Say who received the vote, most votes?
3.
Three.
3 and 3 votes each.
Okay, so what we'll do is we need another ballot with those 3 individuals. Well, I was gonna have circle, but I was waiting for Tally, and that's exactly what she wanted to do. I did not know she had.
Yeah.
Who were the three that? Oh, that's what, so we're voting for Richard Rockwell, Heather Baumgartner, and Christina Cuevas. Please vote for two. Sorry. Okay, so then we draw. Okay. Mayor Kiefer votes for Richard Rockwell and Heather Baumgartner. Isaac votes for Heather Baumgartner and Christina Cuevas. Fred Prophet votes for Heather Baumgartner and Christina Cuevas. Leslie Pearson votes for Heather Baumgartner and Christina Cuevas. And Junior votes for Richard Rockwell and Heather Baumgartner.
I show Heather Baumgartner with 5 votes, Christina Cuevas with 3 votes, and Richard Rockwell with 2 votes.
So our new appointees will be Heather and Christina. Thank everybody. I do in attendance. What we'll do is we'll do the swearing in of the 2 individuals. And once they're sworn in, they will come up and take a place up on the diocese. Yeah, right.
Yes. Pass it around the check.
This should be. And I'm pretty sure if there's some. They are. Okay. Yeah, so. Oh, you have that. You want to give a motion to your. All right, you ready? This is the cool part of being the mayor. All right, raise to the square, please. Heather Baumgartner, do solemnly swear
Heather Baumgartner, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and of the state of Oregon
and of the state of Oregon
and the ordinances of the city of Boardman,
and ordinances of the city of Portland,
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability,
I will faithfully discharge the duties of counselor
I will faithfully discharge the duties of counselor
of the city of Boardman
of the city of Portland
during the period for which I was elected.
during the period for which I was elected.
So help me God. Congratulations. You signed this, right? Is she the one that signed, or do I sign it or does she sign
No, I can't.
it? And then, does she keep that or is? So we'll have a copy next. So she's printing the new one for you. You ready? Oh, and,
It'll be the same, just a different page.
Christina Cuevas, right? Is that what you'd like to go by?
Yes.
Okay. Arm to the square, please. I, Christina Cuevas, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of the state of Oregon and the ordinances of the city of Portland to the best of my ability. I will faithfully discharge the duties of counselor of the city of Portland during the period for which I was elected. So help me God. See, you can choose either side.
Oh, yeah.
And you can take the other side. But I read that and I was like, all right, so we're now going to go down to the part on other business, more IGA. I think that would, I think they're still figuring out the.
Are we done? Yes. a little bit, so.
So we're at the part where for more IGAs.
I can address that.
Okay,
The more, M-O-R-E, is the county. This is an organization that the county, since they are willing to work with us, they go through this organization, and you have to have an IGA with the Moore organization. And then that way we can do work for each other or with each other. And there's a list of other counties and cities in Oregon that an example would be is, say we had an emergency and we needed a water truck. Well, I might not have a water truck, or I may need 4 water trucks. Well, I can go to Hood River if they're in this agreement, and I can say, let's work a deal for a water truck. So it's just, and you see that the county has already paid the street, part of Wilson Road for us. And so we need to get this signed so that they can bill us and we can pay. Because this way, it's easier than doing just an IGA with, say, just Morrow County. This is a blanket IGA that includes Morrow County, but includes lots of other areas. So I can send you a link to the website if you like to look and see how many other places are party in this agreement. But they decided years ago, my understanding is that it was just getting so hard. Okay, it's like street sweeping. We've got a street sweeper, but not every town has a street sweeper. So, you know, like maybe once a year, you know, maybe say, Irrigan would call and say, would you come sweep my streets? And we would say, okay, we can work that deal, and then you can come plow our street or something for us. I mean, you kind of, you know, or provide us gravel. We used to do a lot of gravel exchange that way. Well, it just got so complicated that one organization took over so that you all knew what the agreement would be. And it's the same agreement for everybody. So, and it's in your packet tonight for approval so that we can, so the county can actually bill us and we can pay them.
So the date that we use today is September 6th. On this more.
Yes.
Can you tell us what MORE stands for, what words?
Managing Oregon resources efficiently.
Oh, thank you.
So I can entertain a motion on what we'd like to do with this.
Or this could be some.
I apologize. Or Mr. Mayor, or another option, if no one makes a motion, we could table this, correct, and come back.
We do not have a motion. Yeah, we do not have any candidate.
Thank you. I would actually move to table this. With our new counselors, I don't feel like there's adequate time given for them to understand or be able to read the material. I feel consideration of them, a vote for them to walk in and not be able to see the paperwork beforehand would be inconsiderate.
Well, I can second that motion.
Say what?
I can second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Having hearing none, we'll do a roll call.
Okay. Counselor Pearson,
Yes.
Counselor Quintus,
Yes.
Counselor Drigo,
Yes.
Counselor Prophet,
Yes.
Counselor Ballmer,
Yes.
Counselor Williams,
Yes.
and Mayor Cuber.
Yes. We'll just put that on the agenda for next. For October. Okay, we have a city manager comment.
In the packet is my report. The only thing I wanted to bring to the attention of the council and the public was that I have put my name in as running for the city council position. So my name will be on the ballot come November.
And then the police report is in our packet. Is there any questions that anybody might have for the police report? Or do you have any comments, Chief? Okay, having hearing none there, we're gonna move to the committee report, update from the city manager hiring committee. And the council, what I would like you to do is I'd like you to take a listen to what the committee has presented to us, and we technically get to decide the direction that we're going to go. They're gonna probably present what they found, what they've done. And I would really ask everybody here to think about the direction that we want to go as a council. based on the recommendations that they shared with us. So whoever would like to start that, you have the floor for update from the city manager hiring committee.
Testing. Do you know if you saw that, Mr. Mayor?
I did not see it, I just happened to push it.
No problem. Well, yes. Good evening, everyone. I must confess, I'm nervous. This is a very big topic. It's been a lot of big conversations. I have been one of 3 that was commissioned by the mayor at our last city council meeting to lead a committee that will help investigate options for the city to pursue in looking for our new city manager come January when Karen Pettigrew resigns. And maybe just a case of public, her resignation will also be her availability to be on city council in case there's any dots that need to be connected there. I would start by saying I appreciate everyone's time, and because we made a motion to extend to 9:30, I'm going to move into the points that the committee put together. And then if we are close to 9:30, then I will pause and consider the direction that we go. As a council, there are 2 things that we have discovered that we need to do. And one of those is the public meetings law requires that the city of Boardman councilors do 2 things at a minimum regarding its appointment of a new city manager. Adopt the hiring standards, criteria, and policy directives upon which the council will rely on during its appointment of a new city manager in public meeting. To the councilors that have joined us. The city did something that came to this when we were looking last year for our replacement. And some of these steps will be resemblant to that. Allow any member of the public an opportunity to provide his or her feedback on the standards, criteria, and the policy directives applicable to the appointment of a new city manager. As per the opinion of the Oregon Attorney General, that the council is also required to discuss the new city manager's salary in a public meeting. It cannot be discussed in executive session. Please note that the public meeting laws do not allow for the city council or a subcommittee thereof to conduct interviews of applicants for the city manager position in an executive session. ORS 192.660 2A provides that an executive session is permissible when a public entity is considering the employment of a public officer or an employee. This includes a new city manager. To start on the objectives. One of the first things that the committee did was approach the idea of how to construct a job description that reflected the wants and needs that we not only hear from our community, but within the council. And then we structured that upon looking at our current city manager's dedication and commitment to her position, and based a lot of those criteria off of the passion that we see within the current head of that administration. What I will be doing here momentarily is I will be going and I will be presenting to you the job description that we have drafted. When I say drafted, the copy that I will be reading to you has been submitted to Robin Klein, the interim general counsel of the Oregon League of Cities. And he provided us back a detailed review and revising with notes to be considered. And I have attached that we will look at after the job description for comparison on what you have heard and some of the lines on how it became to be. Something that we did is we also reached out to, including Kaufman, the company that the city chose to work with during the last round. We reached out to 4 different recruiting companies and received their proposals that reflected the work that they do. I'm now going to go to the city manager. The city of Boardman seeks an experienced city management professional to lead this full-service city as its next city manager. The ideal candidate will be passionate about local government and with a successful and productive career demonstrating progressively responsible management experience in public administration. Desired experience and skills of ideal candidates include the following. 1. Administrative and management experience should include familiarity with the following areas. City reporting. A, coordinating and overseeing all aspects of city operations. B, thorough knowledge of municipal government organization, including the relationships, powers, and function within a municipal government and with all other governmental jurisdictions. C, ability to appraise the quality of varied municipal services through inspection and review of work reports and to develop and effectively initiate improvements in management methods. Number 2, governmental budget and finance experience related to debt management and enterprise accounting to include the following areas. A, provide input and assist with budget review and oversight. B, GEO bonds. C, urban renewal agency districts. D, utilization of American Rescue Plan Act, ARP funds. E, comprehensive knowledge of planning and economic analysis and development. F, comprehensive knowledge of the principles and practices of Oregon budgeting, finance, financial statements, tax increment financing, grants, reporting, personnel management, and labor law. 3, labor relations and personal experience that will allow the manager to effectively bargain labor contracts and manage diverse groups of employees. Skills should include the following. A, familiarity with monitoring the performance of all city departments. B, ability to direct, supervise, and evaluate the work of others. 4, community relations experience allowing the manager to effectively speak publicly and communicate with the media and citizens in a variety of methods. Candidate must possess ability to complete the following. A, respond to citizen inquiries and complaints. B, provide and maintain empathetic relations with staff and stakeholders. For anyone not familiar, it is something kind of new to me. Stakeholders is basically our city, within city limits of citizens. C, establish and maintain cooperative and effective working relationships with the city, elected and administrative officials, employees, representatives of business and governmental organizations, and the public. 5, city council relations experience allowing the manager to work effectively with the entire council as well as its individual members. Candidate must be capable of the following. A, managing and coordinating projects to accomplish the goals and objectives of the city council. B, effectively communicate, develop, and prepare accurate and complete correspondence and administrative reports. Speak effectively and represent before a variety of audiences. 6, intergovernmental relations allowing the manager to effectively work with state officials, other councils, and intergovernmental organizations such as councils of government and special districts to the extent the city desires. The ideal candidate will be able to complete the following. Work with citizen and business groups to encourage and develop economic opportunities. B, attend city council meetings and represent the city at such meetings. C, possess comprehensive knowledge of principles and practices of public administration, particularly as applied to the management of diversified municipal governmental services. D, interpret and apply local, state, and federal laws, rules, and regulations. 7, City Council of Boardman seeks to achieve long-term innovations that could be in, but not limited to, the areas of environmental regulations, financing services, time of decreasing revenue, and effectively delivering services to diverse populations. Specifically, City of Boardman Council seeks a candidate that is familiar with the following areas: comprehensive plan and transportation system knowledge plan, let's say, excuse me. B, the street improvement projects. And C, ability to recognize and analyze situations and trends, evaluate complex issues and draw logical and realistic conclusions. The ideal manager candidate will understand the Oregon City County Manager Association Code of Ethics as it relates to compliance with Oregon public meeting laws. The city manager will need to retain and maintain all education requirements. So for a pause there for the council. One of the things that we will be in charge of is deciding if this is the draft that we want to do. It is all of our decision. The other thing that we need to consider is if you feel there was anything that was left out or needs to be mentioned, the consideration will be given to hear that. We have to agree that this is the outlining for what the job will be. Qualifications. Project management experience. Covers all matters of detailing. These are the rules I have for this. And a bachelor's or master's degree in public business administration and or a minimum of 5 years of progressive responsibility in administrative experience, which is very attainable. But you can see with our line by line detailing when the job description is read out, our city will be clear what characteristics we are searching for. And give me some, there it is, sorry, it sounds to me like it keeps. And so the next, the next page in our presentation is the copy that we received back from Robin Klein, who was before mentioned with an interim general counsel at the League of Oregon Cities. Minus his red lines that are marking out verbiage that was redundant or not needed, to give us a clear, more concise stating of what we were looking for. On the right-hand side, for everyone that does have the council material, you can see that the only mention of revision that Robin gave was a place for us to include grants. So to give some context, to put a peace of mind, that is saying that everything that we in this first page right there is acceptable. Continuing down, there is no more towards the end. It gets down to what was the last point, 8. We have no more mentions of revision. And then what we have after that in the presentation was actually an excerpt from the city manager job post from Historic Oregon, where we were, as a committee, trying to find wording that would reflect a paragraph that would go into the brochure that would give an idea of what the city would passionately like for our next city manager, but also the passions of just a city and that we have inside of our community. That job post, or that sentence, excuse me, is the city of Astoria seeks an experienced city management professional to lead this service as its next city manager. The ideal candidate will be passionate about local government with a successful and productive career demonstrating progressively responsible management experience in public administration. Before I continue, from councilors, do we have any questions?
I do not have any questions, it's just a lot of information to the judge, yes. But no, I do not have any questions from what you have presented.
I completely agree, and, yes. Yes, sir.
I'd like to add that we use the charter to format the outline for this and to supply many of the items that are in that. So we took it straight from the city's existing charter from 1985.
Thank you, sir. One of the requirements of our city council is to open a MOA in public that allows comments, just as we are allowing the council to comment as well on job description. I believe it would, and this is not in the presentation, just to clarify, this is my personal opinion. I believe it would be wise to give the counselors time to ingest a lot of this information and to then return in a special meeting that the council can call. And it would give us a time to then continue with maybe questions that have arose, and maybe if I can use the analogy of two birds with one stone, we could also approach if there's any public questions, we'd be able to answer that as well. And now we're going to move back into the community report and say my personal feelings. I know that we were told when we received, when we sent Rob and Klein the city manager job description, the original attachment had the benefits and the salary listed in there as well, and we were advised that that cannot be a part of the job description, it needs to be its own section. So where I am at is the rough draft, and I have it just here, but it is not a part of the job description. Some things, because I need to flip the page, now that I'm realizing where I am at, that I would like to know to current counselors and to the public that are in attendance. Our current city manager has been gracious enough to let me know that her current salary, because we are going to be talking about what we will be offering the candidate that comes in to fill this position. Our current city manager is $100,000. Just making sure I wrote the number down right now. Thank you. And I would be remiss to also mention that without giving an exact amount of years, our current city manager has passed on raises for many years. So where the numbers that we're going to give, we try to be responsible and reflective of the criteria that we are holding reflects what the whole city would want. But we are also acknowledging that because of passion and it personally not being about financial costs. Yes, that there's going to be a difference from what you are seeing to what our current city manager is making with our actions, what I mentioned. The committee, after looking through multiple cities that were comparative to ours inside the state of Oregon, felt that recommending for the council to approve, would be within a range of 135 to 165. I think it would be wise for us to decide on if it is a definitive figure, or if we see that there is an ideal candidate, we would like to move that range. But that is just what we are proposing, and it is up to us to decide. Beyond that, the benefits that will be offered are were given to us from the city, from the current city manager's position, and that also includes fully covered dental, medical, and vision insurance, life flight insurance, long-term disability insurance, and they would get the national standard. 11 paid holidays, 12 sick leave days, 2 weeks vacation, and a fully paid Oregon PERS retirement. Does the council have any questions? Is there anything that I could do? Can everyone hear me okay? I'm trying to manage this microphone the best that I can.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Hold on, please. We already paused for bathroom breaks. Let's get that. Next is what the committee is prepared to suggest as an avenue for the city to go down to find our next city manager. Mr. Mayor, there is two different ways that I could execute this part of the presentation. I could defer to representatives of the company that I could introduce and give time to have the floor, and maybe they could represent the proposal in a quicker manner than me sliding through, or I could defer and continue. Either way, excuse me, I'm not sure what to speak. At 9:30, I'm comfortable looking at the time and seeing where we are all at.
I guess my only concern is, there were 4 companies that were looked at. I have yet to hear pros or cons or anything, because I do believe that would be a council decision on what agency or company we're going to go with. I don't think that decision has been made. So therefore, I don't think it's appropriate that that company should be able to present, because we haven't made that decision. I know there were some other companies as far as, my only concern is, I didn't hear any reason why we should choose one agency versus the other. Councilor Pearson.
I appreciate the opportunity to speak here. In this instance, per our last meeting, we were asked and tasked to work on the job description and find an entity who could help us with this, and so we recruiting agencies. And if you look through your packet, you'll see an extensive list of references, and I submitted to City Hall hundreds of pages of documents supporting the decisions and the information that we have here. Within that does include the documentation for each of the entities that submitted proposals to us. After reviewing extensive documentation from each 4 of those entities, we as a committee decided that one entity, SGR, clearly, in our opinions, rose to the top. And in our efforts to expedite this process, knowing that that was a concern of yours, and that we don't want to stress our city staff any further than we are already, we thought it would be ideal to have them present to us this evening. Again, just for the opportunity that everybody here can hear what they have to say. They are on the line now and ready to present. However, their full presentation has also been included. I would like for them to have an opportunity to present to us, and then later on during our special meeting, which I hope that we have, if you'd like to further review the other entities, I'm certainly open to that, and we can put that in motion and have them on the line.
I fully understand, but the council makes the choices, not the committee. That's my concern. The committee was to give suggestions, not to dictate, is how I take it. So as far as, I still have yet to, I thought maybe I would have an idea, 100 pages on Friday. Yeah, and then we have new people as well who have 100 pages today. I'm concerned that I have yet to hear or understand from the committee why I should or shouldn't accept another. It may be in the proposal here, but I haven't brought to that point yet. So the only thing I'm asking is, I just think it would be inappropriate for us to automatically choose and listen to well, we're gonna listen to one presentation over another.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, go ahead, yes.
I wasn't sure if you were not, I don't know.
Oh, that's fine, you have the floor.
If I could speak to your concern, because I also hear what you're saying, and this is a great discussion to have. one, you haven't heard because we haven't presented any information why the committee's suggestions. I paused to ask you what you would like to do. And I paused to see what you felt the best time to hold to what you wanted was 9:30. It does feel that there's a lot of information, and it does feel like maybe you need more time to read through all the other proposals of companies. But the committee was commissioned to come forward and suggest. And so after reviewing all the companies that we have vetted and included their information for you to have and to review before you got here, we as a committee are suggesting this one in particular for the reasons that have not been mentioned. So I understand your concern. I feel like your concern is a little out of step with where we are in the process. And nothing is being made to be presented as this is what we're doing, because we haven't voted on anything yet for the council. I've tried to make mention since the beginning that there's multiple things the council has to approach, which is agreeing on the job description as well. If you would like me to continue, I could go with what my original question was. We could defer to what the committee's recommendation is, and we could listen to that. Or if I could go back to my personal belief, I think that a special meeting should be called, giving the new councilors time to review the information we submitted to you last week. And then we could return in a week or two, depending on what the current councilor schedules are like. And bless you. And then we could, one, give you time to put your concerns to rest and all those questions that you've raised. I feel like you'd be able to find the answers for within this group. Two, we could then go back to what I had mentioned, and if we could then hear questions from the public, giving them time to digest the city manager description that we are proposing. And then we would be able to either A, in my belief, continue with hearing the presentation on the company that the committee feels would reflect everything that we all want. Or if you have a recommendation, I would say we could hear that as well.
I just wanted to follow up and say, in no way are we trying to dictate any direction here. This is strictly a proposal that we were tasked with, and I feel that we went above and beyond and have presented thorough vetted information in order to expedite and fulfill the requests made of us. Again, this is just simply presentation for everyone to absorb and to make a decision on.
Thank you. So my thoughts are, I still want to do a lot of talking, but my thoughts are, I would like to hear from the committee why or which way we should do it. I still think it's inappropriate that we would have another one company over another before we choose what direction we're going. We've talked about multiple steps here, that things that we have to do, and maybe we're leapfrogging and going one versus the other. But I think we need to, one was the job description and other things like that. But I'm kind of wanting to hear from the committee on why we should go one way or the other. And then I think that we as a council should choose one way or the other, because the last motion that we had was, and I don't think we've amended that, is that we were gonna do it on our own. So I think we gotta make sure that because we weren't gonna do it, have a company, but then we tasked and said we agreed to that. So I think we got a couple steps that we need to do. And I think be able to, as a unit, decide where do we want to go, how we want to do it, and I don't think it should be all done in one night. I am not against, after thinking and seeing all of this, a special meeting probably should be done. When that will be, that would have to be talked about and agreed upon, but we also know that kind of thought there were some time constraints. Maybe there are time constraints. If we think that January 1st is a deadline, it's going to be very difficult to meet that. But with that said, I think we have some things that we need to
take into consideration. Council.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree. As I said towards the beginning, just, and this is not redundancy for sarcasm, I want to reiterate that because I want to make sure my words are being just received carefully. The redundancy that I'm about to say is for our new councilors. The things that we need to decide on, that we do not have to decide on now, is that we approve and agree on the current job description, and that we approve and agree on a salary, and then we need to also agree on a route. So those are the three things that we will need to do, two of which, job description and the material that is provided, that we provide as a committee will be given, and you'll be able to see that. And then when we come back for our special meeting, the presentation, as far as the recruitment agency, I do apologize for giving, if anything I have said has given the indication that it was not being put forth for us to consider, but was to be put forth forcibly. Was not meant intentionally. And as I did say, I'm nervous. I've never had these conversations before, and a lot of this was learning a lot of new material and information that I was trying to, with the help of other people. I'm just, excuse myself, there was 3 of us. Put it into a presentation package that honestly, a month ago, seemed staggering, but as you start spending time with this information, it becomes more approachable. The reason why we are mentioning that there is the company representative is because that after reviewing everything the committee had communicated with recruitment agencies, we felt this was the best company that would reflect the procedure that the city would want done right. As you know, a month ago, we had the conversations, and it's very clear that there is a lot of passion for all of us to do this right, and to do this in a way that upholds the city. And, you know, we hear things like transparency. This is not my presentation, I apologize. But moving forward with this company is the committee's recommendation that reflects the attention to detail that is an example you're hearing from Mr. Mayor right now. The material that they have provided, if I was to skip to maybe a full service recruitment methodology, a very quick one too, and I'm hoping to not step on anyone's toes from the company that I'm reading this from, is 1, organizational inquiry analysis, 2, advertising and marketing communications with applicants and prospectives, initial screening and review, search committee briefing to facilitate selection of semifinalists, evaluation of semifinalist candidates. I'm skipping some notes to just consider the time for everyone tonight. Search committee briefing to facilitate selection of finalists, evaluation of finalist candidates, interview process, negotiation and hiring process. These all have notes underneath them that show attention to detail that I feel like would not only improve to make every counselor of this line proud, but also the community as well. To go to the page that would give a few notes of security. On page 25 in my presentation, I'm sorry, I'm not it, I'm trying to help, is a service guarantee. SRG guarantees that you will be satisfied with the results of the full service recruitment process, and we will repeat the entire process one additional time and charge only for expenses. Additionally, you select a candidate that SRG has fully vetted who resigns or is released within 18 months of their hire date. SGR, I believe I said SRG, and it is SGR. I've been doing that for 3 weeks now. I am very sorry to the company that is present. SGR is fully vetted who resigns and who is released within 18 months of their hire date. SGR will repeat the process one additional time and charge only for expenses. If the organization circumvents SGR's recruitment process and selects a candidate who did not participate in the full recruitment process, the service guarantee is null and void. We also guarantee that we will not directly solicit the candidate we bring to you for another job. So right there, as a committee, to make it clear, I'm not speaking from personal feelings at this moment. That is a huge side of it. As a council, I've heard, as a council, the community has heard multiple times that it can be strenuous on not only the time, but the attention to detail is something that not many of us have or deal with. And knowing that if we get to the end of the road and that we are not satisfied with who the company or who the process, to maybe say better, has put in front of our citizens to consider, then we are not just left high and dry. And this company is willing to walk with us longer to make sure that our city is not only happy, but our citizens are taken care of. And I feel in a time when, and this is not me pointing specifics to people, but I'm a parent and it is school and there are teachers here. And we have some busy lives that are hard to maintain and manage all of this with the attention that it needs. I think I speak very safely for the committee when I say that choosing a company that would follow this through with us till the end, how we all are, is above all important. And if I was to pause right there for 9:26, I would say that is just one of the things. I'm not gonna pause right there. Current city manager administrative recruitments that this company has listed. In progress currently, this company is helping Walla, Washington find a city manager, Blaine, Washington find a city manager, Crandale, Texas, city manager, Frisco, Colorado, county manager, Graham, Texas, city manager, Iowa, Johnson, city administrator, a city in Maine I've never tried to pronounce, town manager, and then it goes on into 2022 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 other cities, 21, excuse me, and then we start going back into 2021. The experience and the resume of this company shows that they are not only able, excuse me, to work in the conduct that we want in the committee's belief, but they are also networked enough that it's clear that we start scrolling and the knowledge that they have is the knowledge that we want in the community's belief to represent our city. And I believe at our next special meeting, if we agree, it would be wise to hear either more from the committee on the finite details of why this company is so strong with multiple cities nationwide and why the council should feel safe choosing this company to represent itself through this process. So to give the counselors that have just freshly joined us and to the people that need time to digest this information, the things that we need to agree upon are the city manager description, the salary, and the recruitment company. I believe the committee has done a diligent amount of work to represent everyone's anticipation for this process. I will end right there.
For Councilor Pearson. I appreciate the time and effort. It's hard for me sometimes to think that people consider that just because I ask questions, I'm antagonistic. And I hope that people do not think that I'm antagonistic in this process. But what I'm happy about is that we need to choose the route or the recruitment company that we need to do. I'm glad that we got finally the why on the recommendations of SGR. It actually was one of the companies that was spoken highly at the mayor's conference. And it was the one name that I gave to Karen Pettigrew, as far as trying to make sure that I was able to get that, they come highly recommended. But I wanted to make sure the council was able to make the decision on the direction that we were going. If SDR is gonna be the one, then we need to decide that. My personal feeling is, we decide the direction we go. We go home, maybe we have homework, trying to figure out, look at the job description, the salary, come back. I've done plenty enough talking. I would like to hear from Councilor Pearson and some thoughts from Junior.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Originally, I just wanted to reiterate, make sure that we did have an opportunity to review the high points of why this SGR clearly rose to the top of our list. Also, I would like to request, because they have been here on the phone with us, if there is an opportunity for them to present. I don't see any harm in that. Their documentation is here. They are here. It might be nice to hear from them direct. Lastly, I would like to make a motion that we move to utilize our recruiting agency to hire the next city manager and undo the last resolution that we made to do it on our own.
So you have a motion.
I will second that.
Can we have the motion reread when we have a chance, please?
Do you need a motion to utilize a recruiting agency to hire a city manager? And then the previous motion that was to do it without help from an outside agency.
So we have a motion and a second. I haven't heard anything from. You want to vote on it? Do you have a problem with voting on that before we talk? Okay. Because I just wanted to have a discussion between, but if you don't have a problem. So let's have a roll call, please.
Councilor Pearson.
Yes.
Councilor Perez.
Yes.
I forgot to change people that. Councilor Drago.
Yes.
Councilor Crowe.
Yes.
Councilor Bumper.
Yes.
And Councilor Williams.
Yes.
And Mayor Kiefer.
Yes. So we've decided that we're going to do a recruitment company. So that would be, that's the direction that we're going to go. So I don't have a problem anymore about that. So we've gotten that. Councilor Drago.
So, thank you, first of all, to the committee for doing diligent work and passionate work. You guys worked hard on this. Got a lot further than I thought it would be. That being said, I fear hearing a presentation from just one of the four companies tonight would give them an unfair advantage if we decide that we want to. My concern. I'm just not here from just one tonight. Or decide as a group amongst us, one or two companies to consider that you're a presentation from both rather than just one.
Thank you. Councilor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I would, I personally, and this is, I guess, a little bit of an apology, I'm sorry if I presented that in a way that made it sound like I was trying to pigeonhole. All of the companies are submitted and what their services per financial request is. And the only intention of us having a presentation or a representative of this country, company, was in case we found ourselves with more questions than we could answer on the intricacy of their procedure, even though we have read their proposal. We thought it wise to let someone kind of back their own words. I also hear a lot of concern about the other companies, which I feel is fine. I just also want to mention that we are only just recommending this company. And the things that I am saying about why this committee felt this company was a good choice are just their resume. And it was not my intention to make it sound like this is the choice, but these are the choices that we have to make. And if there wanted to be more time to consider other companies, I felt like other people should have stepped up to be in the committee. I don't mean that accusation, because there's a lot of.
Pretty cool.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Members of the council. So we originally discovered SGR by observing an LCB meeting, emergency meeting, for the hiring of their new manager position. And they were looking at SGR as their recruitment agency, and that's how we even found their name. We looked through their information and we saw the projected schedule and the timeline and the amount of resources that they could put to bear, and the cost was very comparable to every other agency. But the things that they brought to the table in their proposal were more thorough. More interesting to investigate, and look into. If I'm a candidate looking for a job, I like their brochures, I like their advertising better than the others. We can give you the names of the other agencies, and that's not a problem whatsoever. It's part of our resources that we have. They're right here in the packet, in fact. And that would be available to you. I don't feel like there's any competition with the other agencies. We asked them for their proposals. We got their proposals. We could look at that information. We went ahead and asked SGR to attend this meeting tonight with the hopes that if there were any questions or any difficulties that you had with the packet you received, that you'd be able to ask that directly to them and take us out of the position of deciding whether or not we could find the exact answer in the proposal for you.
I'd like to make a motion. My motion is to direct the committee to contact the top two companies they have and get them to present at a later time or a later date for us to review the top two. And then we can take the top two and as council, be able to unifiedly decide which company we would like to choose. That is my motion.
I'll second.
Here we have a motion and a second. We'd like some discussion.
I think you would be wise.
Councilor Pierce.
Sorry.
She's here.
I would just like to ask that prior to that meeting, when it does occur, that everyone please take the time to review the documentation we submitted. Their proposals are available. Agendas have all of that documentation, it's made a list of references towards the bottom of each of their proposals, and the information that each of them sent to you comprehensively is included, so you have that available to you now.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilor Pearson. Yes. Councilor Fritz. Yes. Councilor Drago.
Yes.
Councilor Palmer.
Yes.
Councilor.
Yes.
And Mayor Kiefer.
Yes. Okay, so I'd like to thank SCR for their attendance tonight. You will be contacted, I would imagine, for through the committee to give a presentation and the pitch on why or why not you should be chosen. So what we need to do is probably schedule a date for that.
I believe we have to make a motion for a special meeting.
That is, I would imagine that we would do that.
If, I was gonna say if the councilors want to make a mention of special, but it's out of turn, I
How about we do it right now? Think to be able to, or we can agree, I guess we can agree. Yes.
The last 5 weeks, we have met as a committee every Tuesday night for 4 hours at a minimum. I feel like a Tuesday night works for me, and I'd like to suggest that be open to anybody else's ideas.
September.
13th, perhaps.
I'm assuming that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be out of town.
The closest one and more. Yes.
What I'm saying is there anybody on the council who's not available next Tuesday?
I would like to say, it's Tuesday is just hard. I mean, I take out, I would prefer Wednesday. I can make it on a Wednesday. 14. We in agreement? Oh, but we're gonna miss somebody. You're the available on the 14th. You want to sing that night? Tuesday night. Everyone's there. So. How about anybody object to a 6 o'clock start time? So could we set that for a 6 o'clock start time on September 14th?
For the sake of the presenters that are be contacting, do you have a specific time that them to attend so that they can present without waiting for too long?
How long would you like to be able to?
Well, tonight's presentation was probably 5 minutes. And it gets to it, so. Who wants to do it in 5 minutes? They put the PowerPoints and packets. So we can have to start.
Propose.
The probably straight away, they should get a chance to do their presentation.
Okay.
So within a few minutes, 6 o'clock.
Just a so we put them on first as first presenters.
Okay.
How much time would you like to give each presenter? 15 minutes for presentation. So total 15 minutes or?
To include some type of questions.
Oh, okay. 15 to 20 minutes.
I guess it goes a little faster, it doesn't. We'll have to-
Okay, so let's be clear. Next meeting, we'll start at 6. You'll have the presenters first. 2 of them. You're gonna allow 15 minutes apiece. Then are you going to decide on the job description that night? Are you gonna decide on the salary? I wanna know what you're gonna do that night. Because I'm not sure anybody, I'm not sure anybody on the staff side understood that this would have been a 5-minute presentation. You spent an hour discussing whether we should do it or not. So let's be clear next time. And so we decided 15 minutes, and that should be sufficient. These guys, like I say, they're professionals. You can do a lot of talking in 5 minutes. So what are you doing about the job description and the wages? Do you
Well, I
think
think
you
we
guys?
I was just gonna say, I think we have, one other question before we get to either of those, but you're right, Karen, I think those need to be, up for discussion and move to select something. I think we need to know which other company, recruitment company, the council would like to hear from. Because the committee chose a recruitment company, we have 4 others that we vetted, they're in our packet, so. Should we take votes by email, or people go through their packet and decide which other one they wanted?
No, I think,
Like we do that.
I would think that you would come with your recommendation of the top 2.
Okay, top.
So I would say you choose the top 2 and then have them present. And I think the council will then decide which, out of that presentation, which company they would like to work with. And also,
And then yes, Karen.
Councilor Williams, sorry.
Some of what I was gonna say, or I didn't say, but on what your answer was. And then I just think that, we go back over the job description. We tackle any questions we have, if it needs to be revised, then I believe it would, and then we would return back to that. And we could hear at that time, if we do a posting, I imagine we would, if we had any public comments that would like to come forward and add in their advice or their consideration, then we would be able to hear that as well. And then, as Karen said, we would have to, decide upon salary. I do think it's a very good word tonight, presentations, and then we're left to talk as long as.
Councilor Robin.
I also want us to look at the timeline, exactly what that timeline will have, at our meeting, so that we can be proactive if we're not going to meet our December 31st deadline.
So we too are assigned for homework, this is what I'm thinking. We probably research and be ready for the presentation of 2 people. Correct?
Yes, I think that the committee will do that for you.
Okay, but it wouldn't hurt to read the packet as well.
Sure.
Read the packet, we're gonna get a presentation, so we're gonna decide on a company. We're gonna decide on the job description, so our homework is, we need to agree or disagree or change it, we're gonna need to agree on a job description that was presented tonight. And the third thing, the salary. And the fourth thing would be a timeline.
And a contingency plan. It just needs to be part of our discussion, I mean.
One question, I also had, Councilor Williams' public comments on the list for the special meeting. Okay, I just want to make sure. I got that right.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay, on the special meeting next week.
So when we do the agenda, the public comment, like,
Yeah, go back. Do you have anything?
Yes, I just want to clarify if there's any confusion, the packet that we all received this evening only have the SGR presentation. The last page titled references. That entire set of documents is available on request by Jen. Within that, you'll find at the end all of the recruiting agency documentation.
This is what you said in your email.
That was part of it.
Part of your email.
Just for tonight, and then there's a separate email called a portfolio, and it has all of these documents in one Adobe document. And the last 4 are from each of the recruiting agencies, you don't need to ahead of time. So you'll just need to request those from Jen.
Are we in agreement for what we're gonna do next Wednesday?
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. Oh, you're being serious? Oh, okay. Okay, so go ahead and read it back, so we're all
What I
clear.
have for, to put together on the agenda for the special meeting is, the committee will choose the top 2 recruitment agencies to present, it will each be given 15 to 20 minutes to their presentation, question and answers. A job description will be discussed and perhaps settled on, salary will be discussed and settled on, there will be an opportunity for public comment, and then the timeline with contingencies will be established.
All right. Sounds like perfect. So what we'll do is all the other reports are in our, yes, email, and all the other, I mean, as far as reports on our agenda are in our packet. Yeah. Is there anything else anybody would like to share before I adjourn this meeting?
And those will be sent to us, whether we will request them.
I was going to ask the 2 counselors could get my or where you leave with my email address, and if I don't know the personal email address for now, we'll get a email set up for you.
It's a fee, yeah, pay a fee. Just, no, you can be included, so.
Yeah, you don't get paid, you just get charged.
Any other, before I adjourn? Meeting is. It did. It did. Yeah, they were thanked, I think they were thanked, but. Meeting adjourned.